Hello people, you're welcome to ProUp Masterclass. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and today I want to talk a little bit about contentment. And this class was inspired by a conversation I was having with a mentee of mine who asked a pretty interesting question. He says, how can one find contentment? Can it be learned? And I felt it was a very important question and a very interesting question, because I really believe that one of the biggest human contentions we have is contentment, is finding contentment. Is one of the biggest things we contend with as human beings. And today I just want to try to shed some light on how we can find contentment. Now, one thing I want to start with is to make us know that contentment is not rooted in satisfaction. Contentment is rooted in acceptance. Contentment is not rooted in satisfaction. It's rooted in acceptance. So a lot of people have this mentality that when I'm satisfied with my life, I will be content. But no. You accept your life and then you become content. We never get to a point where we are satisfied with our life for very long, because satisfaction in itself, by the way it's structured, after a period of time, grows into commonplace. And after that is given time to grow, grows into unsatisfaction. Acceptance, after a period of time, grows into appreciation. And when appreciation is given time to grow, it grows into contentment. So contentment is not rooted in satisfaction. It is rooted in acceptance. And if you want to find contentment in your life, you must do away with something called comparison. Comparison is the biggest arch enemy of contentment. When we continue to look at other people's lives and compare it to our lives, it's very hard to be content with our lives. And I'm going to try to use the illustration of a house to help teach us how we can find contentment in our lives, or come to a place of contentment in our lives. And I want you to try to listen in closely here. Now, our lives are like houses. Everybody's life is like a house. And every good house has windows. So our lives are like houses with windows. And there are different types of windows that can be in a house. And I had the privilege of studying architecture. So for me, talking about this comes from a place of enlightenment. So I'll talk from an aspect of architecture that I feel everyone should be able to relate with. Your life is like a house with many windows. And windows serve three core functions. Four functions windows serve in any house, in any structure. Number one, windows serve the function of observation, allowing you to view what is going on the outside of a house. That's the first function of a window. And I'm not saying this in any form of hierarchy, although there is a hierarchy to it. But observation is the first thing I would say, the first function of a window. The second function of a window is illumination. The windows serve the function of throwing light into the house, so that when you're in the house, you can navigate your way around the house. So if you have a house without windows, the house on the inside will be dark. The third function is ventilation. Windows allow air from the outside to come into the house and air from inside the house to get out. Those are the three core functions. every other thing might not really matter. Decorative means, no, it doesn't really matter. The three core functions of windows: observation, illumination, and ventilation. And that's how our lives are. We are a house with many windows. Now, I'll start with observation. The windows that we use for observation. Those are windows that allow you to view what's going on outside. And the truth is, in this age, there are so many windows of observation. One of the biggest problems we have is that we have access to too many people's lives on too many platforms. It's so easy to see what the next person is doing, what they had for breakfast, what they're eating right now, what they just purchased, who they are married to, what they're doing with their kids. So easy. Social media gives us that window of observation. And it spoils us with it because there's so many. Social media. It's very easy to occupy yourself with observation. Very easy. Seeing what's going out. A lot of us are sitting at that window observation for way too long. Some people sit there all day. Some people sit there majority of the day. It's not bad to observe, but it's terrible for it to take most of your time. Because observation in itself is the pathway to comparison. A lot of times when we stay at that window of observing what's going on outside, that's when we see what the color of the grass on the outside is. That's when we see the activity on the outside. And it's very easy to get into that mindset of, my life is not like this person's life, so my life must be bad. This person has way more than me with way less experience. This person is not deserving of what they have. We are so focused on what is going on the outside. And one thing with comparison is, comparison only leads to two major parts, no matter what we think it is. Some people say, I'm comparing myself because I want to be inspired. Yeah, you can do that. But in the end, inspiration is a journey. In the end, you have to be careful where it leads you to. But there are two major parts that comparison can lead you to. When you spend a lot of time observing, it leads you to a place of pride, where you can think, look what they are doing. Man, I'm way past that level. Look what they have. We have way more. They don't have a car, I have a car. They have a small house, I have a big house. They have a terrible job, I have a better job. It instills the spirit of pride in us. On the other hand, when you spend a lot of time observing, what it could also do is instill a spirit of insecurity and regret. So you are looking, look at this person. We started together. I'm not doing this thing anymore. They stuck at it and they are doing better. Maybe I shouldn't have stopped. Or look at this person. He's younger than me, or she's younger than me, doing way better. What am I doing with my life? Or look at them. They are married with kids. I've not even found someone to love me. That's what happens when you sit at that window of observation for long. It's a dangerous window. Yes, the window is there for observation, but don't spend too much time at that window observing. Don't use your windows too much for observation. I dare to say there are better things to use your window for. Which brings me to the second thing, which I believe is higher than observation, which I said there's a hierarchy. And this is where I'm going to talk about the hierarchy. This illumination. Illumination is allowing light come in. And the very important function of a window. Because what it helps you to do, it helps you to navigate the inside and to appreciate the inside. Without illumination, you have a terrible time living on the inside. Terrible time. You'll be groping and you could bump into things, have accidents, get injuries and stuff like that because there's no illumination. Illumination is absolutely important. And how do we get illumination through our windows? This is where your access to the sun is very important. Your window must face where the sun is. And that's why in architecture, they kind of teach us how to place a house on a site. So you must know where the sun is rising and you must know where the sun is setting. Very important. And you must work with the rising and the setting of the sun. So there's the way you can place a house. Even though it has windows, it won't allow a lot of illumination in. But illumination is absolutely important for us to have in our lives. And illumination means your connection to God. God becomes your sun. Your sun, S-U-N. Very important that your window is facing the sun to throw light into your house. The more we connect to the source, which is God, the more illumination we have into our house. And that helps you to appreciate what you have in your house. When your house is well illuminated, you appreciate better. You know the parts of the house that you need to sweep, the parts you need to mop, the parts you need to dust. It allows you to observe what's going on the inside. But a lot of people don't use their windows to get illumination. But illumination allows you to appreciate the inside. That is where you live. That is where matters the most. That is where you must learn to accept. You must accept the inside. But a lot of times you can't accept the inside if the inside is dark and dingy. But when you let light flow into it, you know the parts of the inside that are due for renovation, that are due for painting. And then the inside becomes more comfortable. And you realize that those who know and appreciate their inside spend less time at the windows observing what's going on outside. So illumination, very important that we use our windows to get illumination. And illumination only comes from God. The best illumination comes from God. That's why with architecture, they tell you natural sunlight is the best sunlight. It's the best form of lighting, natural sunlight. Yes, you can put in lamps and bulbs and things like that, but they don't compare to natural sunlight. It's the best. Photographers tell you natural light, the best. So a lot of people have bulbs in their life, but bulbs burn. Bulbs can even cause electrical fires to destroy your house. So be careful who you allow as a bulb into your life. A man, a coach, a teacher, a pastor. Be careful. They're not bad, but be careful sometimes when you overly depend on it, because they could cause destruction. Natural sunlight is the best, and that can only come from God. The third thing is ventilation. And it's probably the most important function of windows, even in architecture, as it is with life. If your window doesn't allow for good ventilation, then you could die. Your house could become your casket. Ventilation. And ventilation is the circulation of air, allowing air come in and air go out. Very important. It allows you to breathe easy. It allows you to sleep well. It allows you to grow, to be in wellness of mind. Ventilation is very important. When the day is hot, ventilation is very important. I live in Nigeria, I stay in Abuja, which is closer north in Nigeria, and it gets very hot some time of the year. And you realize that having good ventilation is very important, especially in Nigeria where we have power shortage sometimes. Just being able to open your window at night and allowing air come in is very important. I grew up in a place in Lagos that was on the 9th floor of a tower, 9th floor, and it was very close to the ocean. And we never used our fan. In fact, a lot of times when you came to our house on 9th floor, you see the fan spinning, the ceiling fan spinning, and you think it was on, but it was not on, never on. It was just spinning from the wind that was coming. The ventilation was incredible. Incredible. Never felt hot. It was always cool. Ventilation is important. And what does ventilation mean in your life as a person? It's the ability or the capacity to give out what you have on the inside, as well as take what people have on the outside. It is what we call the balance of information. You see, observation is not bad. It only becomes bad when it's not balanced with ventilation. So as you see what's going on the outside, remember to share what's on the inside. But you can only share what's on the inside when what's on the inside is good, and when you know what's on the inside. But ventilation is important. An exchange of air, an exchange of resources between the outside and the inside is what grounds us in life. That's what you call learning and teaching. Social media is not bad. Social media only becomes bad when people use social media strictly for observation. But social media becomes a treasure when you use it for ventilation. So some people are always observing on social media, never sharing. Never sharing. It's very important that we learn to share, even as we learn to observe. But the truth is, when you have illumination, you share the right thing and you observe the right thing. So you see how these three things work together: observation, illumination, and ventilation. When you spend a little time observing, a great amount of time understanding your inside by connecting to God, and then sharing what you've learned from God with the outside, and allowing other people to share with you what they've learned also, you will live a life of contentment. You would realize how beautiful your life is, and then you come to accept your life. I hope this makes sense to somebody. Remember, your life is a window. Use your windows wisely today, and you'll realize how much better your life could be.